Hey everyone, and welcome to a brand new series we're going to do. This is kind of a little pilot thing for us. It's going to be a little March Madness tournament. If you didn't see, I made a little introduction video explaining all the rules for this, just so we don't waste time here. You can check that out. It's going to be in like the playlist and on our channel, all that stuff. It'll be easy to find, so we're just going to jump right into the first matchup. Each of these videos is just going to be two, because it's the first round and we don't want to get too in-depth into anything yet. We'll save the in-depth debating and conversation for the later ones, though I'm sure we're going to get fired up because that's just how we always are. The first matchup we have today is Danganronpa and Mario Kart 8. It's kind of a weird matchup because it's a visual novel game versus a racing game. So I'm kind of curious.
Considering Danganronpa is the 1 seed, it's a pretty good 1 seed, just saying.
Yeah, this is all randomized, by the way, so, you know, the seeding doesn't make sense. That's probably why. So, does anyone want to start, first of all? Is there a game that we
I would love to start, first of all, because how do we want to say this? Because one thing that we can compare is the cast of characters between Mario Kart 8 and Danganronpa. And we're talking about the original Danganronpa here, and I'm assuming we're keeping these like as the original games themselves. But in terms of what Mario Kart 8's cast has versus Danganronpa, Mario Kart 8 has more characters. So,
does it have more characters?
Yeah, Danganronpa has waifus, and also Mario Kart doesn't even know what the hell it actually represents, because now they've also brought in non-Mario Kart characters. Like, it should just be called
and
Kart
different
8 at
cards.
This point.
They have actual cars in there now.
I'm not counting Pink Gold Peach as a character either, Nick. That's bullshit.
Well, how many characters does Danganronpa have?
16?
17.
Something like that.
Well, because of Monokuma and then the 16 people.
That's true.
Half of those are Koopalings. Koopalings already take up half of it.
Yeah. Whatever.
Oh my god, are we counting the colored Yoshis as each individual character?
And the individual Shy Guys. Boom, Mario Kart 8, better
Mario
cast.
Kart wins because of all the colors of Shy Guy, apparently. That's where we're going here.
Okay, yeah, because we don't care about actual character development that Mario Kart has none of, whereas Danganronpa tells a beautiful story and you get very connected to many of the characters. Some of them you do want to just die.
Yeah.
All right, Travis, we'll tell me about the character development of Danganronpa then. You're solving a mystery. How does that have anything to do with character development? How do they slip that in?
Oh my... Did you not? Okay, just go and watch any of my streams that I did, because you will, in between solving the actual murders that happen, you have to have free time, in which case you have chances to build relationships with any of the cast of it. Obviously, you have some more time with others, just because some die sooner than others, but, like, you just get so involved with them. Mm-hmm. Come on, Mike. You have to back me up on this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, in terms of story, I think Mario Kart 8 doesn't have a story, so Danganronpa kind of wins that category of this. But it's true, and it's just beyond the characters, like, the way that they all develop. It reminds me of, what's that book called that Agatha Christie wrote, and then there were none, where, like, as time goes on and they get further into this messed up world, like, the characters' personalities start to change and twist, and you find out all these secrets.
Some of them, literally.
Yeah, so it's like... For being a dorky game with a really weird premise, like, it has really detailed character development, which I think is incredible. I don't remember any of the characters.
One thing I do want to mention... Sorry,
no,
go ahead. Well, it doesn't really matter. I want to actually mention this because this actually is relevant to this. In terms of Mario Kart 8 and also Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I don't know if we're keeping this to 8 or Deluxe. It's kind of basically the same game.
They're the same game, minus... You know,
the deluxe part. But what I want to say for Mario Kart 8 that I actually really disliked in terms of Mario Kart... There is no incentive of doing all of the pre's. In Mario Kart Wii, if you want to play online with that dope gold gold racing wheel with the stars and whatnot, like, you'd get rewarded for finishing the pre's, doing well in the pre's, and it honestly wasn't a joke to get first in all of them, really, or get 3 stars, like, to sweep all the races. If we're talking about Mario Kart, I'm comparing it to Mario Kart Wii because Mario Kart Wii had a really great way to do so. You get at least a single star on all of the tracks. It shows up in some kind of physical form, not physical form, but like it shows up to show other people what you've accomplished.
In a digital form.
Or you collect, or you get more characters or bikes. You can do that just by doing multiplayer for Mario Kart 8, but there's no focus on progressing in that way. And that's what really kind of made me sad about it, because I was doing it for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I was just like, I want to see if I get anything for beating all the pre's on 3 stars, 150. I got nothing.
Yeah.
Well, in Mario Kart 8, I'm pretty sure that's how you get, or it might just be having to just win in first place.
There's a couple of different colors of characters.
That's how you get the gold card or something. Yeah, and then the 200 you have to get first in the 200, and then you get Gold Mario, which I just don't care enough to put myself through that.
But you're constantly getting rewarded as you go through Mario Kart Wii, is what I'm saying. And one of the reasons why I love Mario Kart Wii so much and you can say what you will about the online single player and everything, but it was also hard. I would argue, I mean, we've played Mario Kart 8 so much as well, but I would argue there's way more of there's not much of a challenge in Mario Kart 8 in doing all those missions. Like, they really kind of, in my mind, dumbed it down, and that's one thing that I didn't really like. The only time I'm really being challenged with Mario Kart 8 is when I'm facing, like, good people online, or when I'm facing you guys, like, couch co-op.
Yeah.
And in terms of a challenging game that I live to see, like, I want to see the struggle, Mario Kart 8 just does not deliver.
What I will say, though, is I think, like you said, in terms of the online stuff, though, I think this game was one of the best in terms of the online gameplay. And if we're talking about the deluxe mode, I think the battle mode was incredible. I loved, like, Shine Thief and the new ones they added, like the Piranha Plant, Cops and Robbers type thing. I feel like the battle mode in deluxe was incredible. The graphics are great. The variety of tracks I thought was awesome. The DLC tracks that all came out were really great. I loved Hyrule Circuit. I loved the Animal Crossing tracks. So as far as the online play goes, it's a game that hasn't gotten old to us. I mean, if we don't know what to do...
No, it hasn't gotten old.
Yeah, we tend to just say, hey, let's play Mario Kart 8, you know, the same way you do with Smash Bros. It's kind of like a timeless game. And I think it's interesting because the Switch and Wii U version... I think they're some of my favorite ones. I think Double Dash has more like nostalgia with it, but Mario Kart 8 Deluxe kind of perfected racing games, at least as much as I think it can be at this point. Gameplay-wise, I don't think there's anything I could fix. Like you said, I think harder racing and like a more incentive to play the pre would be better, but strictly in terms of gameplay, I don't think there's anything I would have liked to fix in the Mario Kart game.
Well, Nick, I would like to bring up when I went up to visit you last, when we were playing with the hard comms on. I was the only human who actually beat out them in the top 3.
We're talking about Scott, Jake, and Pat, people who never play Mario Kart 8 unless they're with us.
Maybe we're biased because we've
I
played
am
it so
still
much.
going to point out, because we have
Okay.
what, 1,000 hours in that game between
Probably.
the Wii U
But
and this one.
But
You have to say, okay. To wrap
I'm
it
just saying,
up.
but to wrap things up, I know it's a time crunch, so we gotta do it. But to wrap things up, and what I can understand, like in terms of gameplay, yes, Mario Kart 8, I would say, is most accessible to newcomers. Has a lot of ways to at least welcome people in. Has a lot of different customization options. In terms of that, that's all fine. But it's lacking so much in what would incentivize me that would play it and not with friends. Yes, we can discuss we can talk about who's the best Mario Kart 8, crap talk all we want, but it's just in my mind, I don't think it really has a single player. You can do online, that's fine, but in terms of like a single player campaign, it doesn't have it. And I think that's what's severely lacking about Mario Kart 8. And that's what it had in previous games. So if we're talking about like a full realized game, I feel like Danganronpa fits the picture more than Mario Kart 8.
Alright, so it seems like we have an incredible single player story going up against a game that really nailed the multiplayer and didn't nail the single player. Who would like to vote first?
Danganronpa.
Danganronpa.
All right, well.
I mean, I was clearly going to have that one win because it's in my top 5 games.
Yeah, well,
so.
Danganronpa wins.
I love Mario Kart 8.
My vote was going to go Mario Kart 8, but I guess it doesn't matter anymore, so Danganronpa.
Yeah. I love Mario Kart 8 a lot. It's just, in terms of, there's just certain things lacking that I usually would see out of a Mario Kart game that I've had in every single Mario Kart game except Mario Kart.
Oh, well, before we move on then, just out of curiosity because you brought that up, is there a Mario Kart game that you would have voted for in this matchup then, Nick?
In this
Just
matchup,
out of curiosity.
easy. Mario Kart Wii, Mario Kart 64, or Mario Kart... What was the other one that I was thinking? Double Dash.
All right, interesting. Well, good to know. So, Danganronpa moves on. Who will it be facing? It's either going to be facing Kingdom Hearts or Fallout 3. This is another interesting matchup, though they're closer than people seem to think because they're both RPGs. One of them is just very fantasy, Disney-oriented, and one is very post-apocalyptic survival-esque. I think all three of us have a lot more experience with Kingdom Hearts, so I think that's a good place for this conversation to start. Did you ever beat the original one, Travis? You did, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
We do have evidence of that on the stream.
I think you were the one, Nick, that I'm not sure about then. You never finished
it.
Oh,
no, I never beat the original Kingdom Hearts. I've had everything spoiled for me, if that means anything.
Yeah.
If you want me to start on how to start this, if we're comparing RPGs, there's a couple of things that you really got to compare. You got to compare the story, you got to compare the combat, and you got to compare the ways that you interact with the world. In my mind, from what I've seen with Kingdom Hearts, does a really great job with 2, and an okay job with the third. And I want to know how you think Fallout 3 compares to Kingdom Hearts in that way. What would you say wins in terms of gameplay, in terms of story, and in terms of ways to interact with the world? Because we talked about it before. If you have a giant open sandbox that doesn't have anything to do in it, it doesn't matter. You need to at least have some ways to interact with the world for you to be engaged in the game.
Yeah, I know Fallout 3 has the component of, like, you can do certain quests that will help, like, a certain group over others.
Yeah.
Right? So, in that term, like, you can kind of dictate where the story, or not necessarily the story goes, but, like...
Well, Fallout 3, it does have that, less so than the other ones. The reason I picked Fallout 3 for this, too, though, is kind of what Nick was saying before, too, with the level-up system. I think Fallout 3 is kind of the perfect rendition of what that style of RPG should be like. You knew exactly what you had to do to level up. You kill enemies, collect resources, do lockpicking. Basically doing anything to interact with the environment will get you experience. And it was a very easy to use system as far as that goes. And then you level up those skills as you see fit. You can level up explosives, you can level up light weapons, heavy weapons, you know, your lockpicking abilities, and it allows you to interact with the environment in different ways. And it was entertaining because you could go about handling problems differently. The final boss fight, not in this game, but in a different one, but I lumped them together, I guess, and I probably shouldn't. But you can beat the game without even fighting if you have a high enough speech level, because you can just use democracy and diplomacy to overcome the game. So it allows you to use whatever skill you want and kind of tailor the game your own way. I think it's unfair to say that's a knock on Kingdom Hearts, because Kingdom Hearts obviously doesn't go for that, right? Kingdom Hearts is meant to be a combat-oriented game, which I think it nails perfectly. I just think Fallout 3, in terms of what that open-world RPG should be like, I don't think there's any game out there that did it better, in my opinion. At least in terms of what Bethesda is going for. Obviously, they screwed it up down the road. But Fallout 3 is the perfect... The setting in it was incredible, too. I think, like you said, with interacting with the world, too, moving around, like, the post-apocalyptic DC, there's no better setting for that. Like, where the White House used to be is just like a giant crater now. I'm exploring the different memorials in the Capitol building and stuff, and seeing how things were altered in this post-apocalyptic environment was so awesome. And it was so cool, like, exploring the metro stations and all of that. So the environments in that world I thought were absolutely incredible. So I know I'm the only one with a lot of experience in that game out of the three of us, but yeah, I do think the worlds and everything was like, again, there's very little things I could have fixed. I didn't like how much time I spent in the metros. It's really dark, and it was the same type of enemies over and over again. So that was kind of mundane, but that's only like the first 15% of the game. Once you push past that, it gets a lot better. The opening of the game, I think, is where I had the most issues with it, though.
Well, the opening for Kingdom Hearts wasn't great either. It teaches you about the combat. It teaches you about when you're doing the combat with Riku. It teaches you about picking
racing
up items.
Riku is detrimental to the story.
It's very... Yeah.
I'm just saying...
Tapu fruit.
I'm just saying, like, in terms of the intros, yeah, Kingdom Hearts doesn't really have a great intro to compete, though. That's the thing. It's got a nice, relaxing intro, but I mean, I do feel like it drags on a little bit more. Like, what's the point of doing the second round of collectibles? I don't really see it.
Yeah.
So,
no, Kingdom Hearts is definitely a marathon and not a race in terms of the story in it. I think it's definitely tailored to a certain audience, because even with Kingdom Hearts 3 that's out now, everyone's complaints are that it moves too slow and that there's way too many cutscenes, which is what Final Fantasy is like too. So, I mean, if you're not into that, you wouldn't be into Kingdom Hearts. I think it's for an audience of people that really like story. And I think as far as story goes, which is the other thing we should mention, Kingdom Hearts is very confusing, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It's confusing, but it's kind of meant to be that way. The game intentionally tries to be mysterious and convoluted. It wouldn't be as fun if everything made sense right off the bat. So I've always defended the confusing plotline of it. I think that adds to the charm of the game, that, you know, there's a lot of variety in it. And so, I don't know, I love the Kingdom Hearts story.
Yeah, because I feel like if the Kingdom Hearts story was too simplistic, it would just, like, really, really defactor it from, like, the people our age who were like, okay, I'm literally just playing a Disney game at this point.
Right.
Well,
I like the
let's vote.
I
don't want to go first.
Kingdom Hearts.
Mike, I want you to go to second.
Wildcard Travis.
I mean, my heart wants to say Kingdom Hearts, and I if I had to play a game again, I would play Kingdom Hearts again. But the better game is Fallout 3, so I'm gonna go with Fallout 3.
Interesting.
All right, Travis.
Well, I'll go Kingdom Hearts just because I have so much more. But I mean, I've seen you play some of Fallout 3, because was Fallout 3 the one where you did the whole, I'm just going to run through this specific area and hope I don't get caught and die?
Yeah.
I will say this.
That was really entertaining.
Kingdom Hearts got better games down the road for sure that beat out the original Kingdom Hearts. But in terms of... so I would agree if you're saying Fallout 3 is a better game, but in terms of trying to compare all the elements to it, I've seen the gameplay of Fallout 3 and whatnot, and I think that it's a fantastic game. I don't know, I just have to give it to Kingdom Hearts.
I'll say Fallout 3, in my head, is the better game. I'm glad Kingdom Hearts won, though. I would have been happy with either one. This is a hard one for me.
Alright, that does it for the first couple rounds.
That also means our first second round matchup is going to be Danganronpa and Kingdom Hearts. Obviously, we're not going to get to that until far down the road, but just something to keep out on the horizon.
So far, the only games that have won have been single-player, story-based games.
Yeah, we're probably going to have a theme that tends to be our style, I guess. We'll see what happens down the road.
Alright, see you guys in the next one.